Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
No bigger story tonight than former President Duterte, his drug war, and his alleged co-perpetrators. At the Senate, lawmakers tackle their course of action if or when two of their own are ordered arrested by the ICC.
And in Malacanang, the government says it is willing to cooperate with Interpol where ICC warrants are coursed through. The palace also has an advice to those tagged in the Duterte drug war.
In the Netherlands, former President Duterte's confirmation of charges hearing begins exactly a week from now. An ICC-accredited lawyer walks us through the process later on.
Konstitusyon, higit sa lahat, kaysa doon sa warrant of arrest na inisyu ng International Criminal Court.
By tradition, while the Senate is in session, walang miyembro ang inaaresto sa loob.
Hindi pa po co-accused ang tawag dyan or co-conspirator kung sakasakaling matutukay ng ICC na sila ay one of the most responsible.
The Senate now faces a complex situation. It stands to lose two sitting senators who are facing possible arrest by the International Criminal Court. How will the upper chamber react? Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes with tonight's big story.
Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo, closest allies of former President Rodrigo Duterte, have been named as co-perpetrators in their ex-boss's war on drugs. The campaign, which allegedly victimized thousands, has sent Digong straight to The Hague in the Netherlands. The 80-year-old is facing charges of crimes against humanity in the International Criminal Court. Co-perpetrators aside from the two senators, 6 other officials have been tagged by ICC for supposedly taking part in the arrests and killings of drug suspects. ICC documents show that between November 2011 and March 2019, Duterte and his co-perpetrators shared a common plan or agreement to neutralize alleged criminals in the Philippines. These included those perceived or alleged to be associated with illegal drugs. The years cited by the Foreign Tribunal were those when Duterte was Davao City Mayor and Vice Mayor, and later on, President. The ICC report now has triggered a debate. How will Go and De La Rosa's status as sitting senators be affected when the ICC finally issues warrants for their arrest? It's a blank wall for the upper chamber for now. But for Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, it's crystal clear. Philippine laws take precedence over the ICC.
Sa ngayon, hindi pa naman natin alam kung ano yung lalamanin ng warrant of arrest kung sakaling ma-issue, kung ano ba magiging parusa doon.
Opo.
So again, mananaig pa rin yung ating konstitusyon. Gagalang natin ang ating konstitusyon. Higit sa lahat, kaysa doon sa warrant of arrest na inisyu ng
Lacson, however, clarified that his stand is not to protect De La Rosa and Go.
ang aking pinoprotektahan yung legal process na umiiral sa Pilipinas, lalo na yung konstitusyon.
For her part, Senator Risa Ontiveros maintains that no senator can be arrested while their chamber is in session.
I would stand by what sinabi ni Senate President Tito Soto noon na by tradition, while the Senate is in session, walang miyembro ang inaaresto sa loob. And kung may ibang developments pa na mag-evolve, I'm sure manguna ang Senate leadership na pag-usapan namin lahat yun.
Lacson says the Senate would discuss possible courses of action, including any assistance that may be extended to De La Rosa and Go. He said Senate President Tito Soto may call for a caucus to consult with fellow senators on the matter. Lacson added the possible arrest of sitting senators also raises concerns about representation in the chamber. But for ICC Assistant to Counsel Attorney Cristina Conti, talk of arrest for De La Rosa and Go seems premature at this point.
Ang issue lang dito nga ay, di ba dapat co-accused ang tawag sa kanila? Hindi pa po co-accused ang tawag dyan or co-conspirator. Mas ang siste ay, sila ay may kanya-kanyang role. Kung sakasakaling matutukay ng ICC na sila ay one of the most responsible. Kaya po, huwag kabahan yung iba na, attorney, kailangan ihabol dun sa kaso ni Duterte. Hindi po. Pwede namang hiwalay yung kanya.
Senator Go had already denied the allegations stated in the ICC document. Go said the findings are unfounded, one-sided, and bear no relation to his role and responsibilities as Special Assistant to the President and Executive Assistant to then Davao Mayor Duterte. There is still no word, however, from Senator De La Rosa. Bato remains in hiding since November 2025, when news broke out that the ICC had already issued a warrant for his arrest. Kapatid Mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes, we are One News.
Among those listed in the ICC document as a co-perpetrator in the Duterte drug war is former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre II. Tonight, we ask him why he thinks his name has been included and what his plans are if his arrest is ordered by the court. Welcome to the big story, attorney.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Cez, Pauline, and Mission. Thank you for having me, and good night to all your followers and viewers.
All right, did this come as a surprise to you that a list of co-perpetrators has come out of the ICC without any, warrant of arrest or any charges, rather?
Actually, this really is a surprise to me because I heard of my name, although there's no first name, last year, sometime in September. So, kasama raw ako dun sa mga dinimanda sa ICC. Hindi ko siniseryoso yun. I'm not taking it seriously kasi wala akong nalalaman kahit katiting na participation sa war on drugs or this extrajudicial killing or support thereof. Kaya ako'y talagang nagtataka and I really wonder why they included me or linked me with respect to this war on drugs. And they cited 2 instances na pwedeng pinanggalingan ng kaso raw yung violations ko. One in 2010 when I was lawyering for then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte with respect to the charges filed against him by then Chair of Human Rights Laila de Lima. And the second one, when I was appointed as Secretary of Justice in 2016. I only stayed at the DOJ for less than 2 years, from June 30, 2016 to April 5, 2018. So wala akong kinalaman dyan. I don't know anything about this, why I was included as one of the co-perpetrators. But thinking about it, I believe that the reason why it was included was because they wanted to use this in the trial against President Duterte. Alam mo, sinabi nila doon sa kanilang filing sa ICC that Duterte is the head of a common plan na nagpe-perpetuate ng extrajudicial killing and even killing civilians against in the pursuit of this war on drugs. So, yun lamang ang nakikita ko. Kasi kung ang...
If I may interrupt you, attorney.
Yes.
Ano naman ang argument niyo na hindi totoo yun? Because he had announced it himself very many times as president, and then it was happening before our very eyes. People would turn up in the streets, dead, with bags covering their head. It was, could not have happened if there was not a systematic operation.
Alam mo, yung sinasabi niyong ano naman ang ebidensya ko na hindi totoo yun. Na sinasabi kong hindi totoo because I heard it for the first time. Yung sinasabi nilang common plan. Heard of it. And kung may common plan niyan at ako'y kasama, dapat alam ko. Wala akong kalam-alam dyan. Unang-una, doon sa sinasabi nilang I lawyered for Duterte, kailan pa naging krimen ang maging abogado ng isang akusado? At that time, Mayor Duterte of Davao was not yet president and we are, I think, not yet a member of the ICC. 2010 on, may demanda si Chair Laila de Lima of the Human Rights Commission against him. Kaya kinuha niya akong abogado doon. But I think it lasted only for 1 day. I went back to Manila and never returned to Davao in my trip in 2010. Kaya ang ibig bang sabihin niyan, itong pagiging in the Philippines is not even an offense. As a matter of fact, I'm just exercising my profession. Ang ibig bang sabihin niyan, yung completely legal sa Pilipinas will become illegal dyan sa Hague.
Nakakapagtaka po ba, attorney, na nagbabanggit ng mga pangalan ng ICC ng mga co-perpetrators pero wala namang kaso? Parang meron lang ipinalabas lamang itong mga listahan ng mga pangalan.
Yan doon sa doon sa trial ni President Duterte sa Hague. In order that their common plan, yung allegation lang common plan will become credible, they need to include the Department of Justice and the Secretary of Justice dyan sa kanilang common plan na yan. So I think that's the only reason why my name was dragged into this. Para maging credible yung kanilang common plan na yan. But tulad ng sinabi ni Attorney Kaufman, I will prove that it's false. Walang common plan yan. Gawa-gawa lamang nila yan.
During your tenure po as Justice Secretary, yung mga kasong hinaharap sa inyo ay umusad po ba?
Oh, of course, umusad. Yung lahat ng as a matter of fact, siguro hindi nyo alam, yung 3 high-profile cases, yung 3 teenager na pinatay, yung Kian de los Santos, Carlos Arnaiz, saka si Kulot de Guzman, ako ang nagpatawag dyan sa mga magulang niyan at sa mga kamag-anak niyan. Dinala ko yan sa Malacanang. And then, when nandun pa sila sa bahay pangarap ng Malacanang, minute sila ni President Duterte. At doon nila nag-complain. Doon nila sinabi kay President sa harap-harapan, sinabi nila kay President Duterte kung ano nangyari, kung bakit sila dapat tulungan. And after that meeting, what happened? Demanda yung mga pulis, trials were held, and they were all convicted. And I think I read in the papers about 3 months ago that the Supreme Court dismissed their appeal and affirmed their convictions. So ako mismo ang nagdala niyan. So how could I be accused of being in cahoots with this if ever there was any extrajudicial killing?
Opo, pero ilan lang po yan.
One thing more. Noong idemanda si Kerwin Espinosa, mayor ngayon ng Alvera Leyte. His case was dismissed by my department when I was the Secretary of Justice.
Naku, nawawala po yung audio ninyo. Attorney?
Baka po na-mute, attorney?
You might have...
There you go.
Ayan. In stressing your point na ano nyo yata.
Napindot.
Go ahead, sir.
Yung father niya, yung father niya, hindi ba pinatayan while being incarcerated dun sa Albuera? One of them accused there was the head of the CIDG, one Colonel Marcos. I think pinadi-dismiss na nila yung kaso. I ordered the National Bureau of Investigation. Sabi ko parang hindi ako niniwala na dapat i-dismiss yan. It must be investigated. So I ordered the NBI, and it was investigated, and the case was filed against these people. I just don't know what happened.
Well, true, but they are a handful of cases. We're talking thousands of cases here po.
You could not blame the Department of Justice about this thousands of cases, kung ilan man yan. As a matter of fact, invento lang yan, 30,000 na yan. Kailan kayo nag-30,000? Kailan nasan yung listahan na yan? Pinalalaki lang ninyo yan eh.
Let's work, Secretary, on yung actual numbers na meron yung PNP, which is nasa about 6,000 cases.
O yan, perhaps it's credible.
Okay, let's
yan,
work.
Perhaps siguro ganyan lang. Pero yung 30,000, siguro times 5 yan, times 5 lang nila yan.
Okay, so dun sa 6,000 cases, nung time nyo po as Justice Secretary, ano po, looking back, ano po yung mga hardships, yung mga obstacles that you experienced yourself while investigating these cases? If indeed nga na parang umeffort po yung DOJ nung time na yon na imbestigahan itong mga kaso na ito. Notwithstanding the Kian case because that was really, really high profile.
And there was
Wala
intense
namang-
public
wala namang
pressure
kuwan.
then.
Hello?
Go ahead
Go ahead,
po.
sir.
Yeah. Ang akin lamang is that it is no longer the duty or the job of the Department of Justice to investigate these killings. They are the duties of the law enforcement. Kami, nagre-receive lang ng complaint. Kung ano lang i-file sa amin, yun ang complaint na binibigay sa amin na dinidinig namin. But you could not fault us for whatever is happening outside of the department.
Is it not also true though, Secretary, that you can actually move things along, kumbaga, or kind of provide the inertia being Secretary of Justice na imbestigahan nga nitong mga law enforcement agencies ang mga kaso na ito?
Talaga namang iniimbestigahan yan, but we at the department are just waiting for complaints to be filed. If the complaints to be filed with us are with substance, then we file the necessary case. If they are not filed or the killings or the cases were filed were very weak, then it will be dismissed. Kaya sinasabi ninyo ng human rights advocates dyan, sinasabi, paanoan niya mangyayari dyan? Sinasabi, they were just defending themselves. So, anong nangyari? So, ang sa amin lang, we receive the complaint and we decide on the basis of this complaint. Are they strong? Are they weak?
Do you
But
remember?
with respect to the cases to be filed, hindi na namin sakop yun eh. It is dyan yun sa mga law enforcement agencies.
And would you remember po around how many cases po yung umabot po sa desk niyo as a Justice Secretary? Kahit po rough estimate lang. So we're talking, let's say, 6,000 cases. Umabot ba sa 1,000, 2,000?
I don't know really actually because during my time ang jurisdiction lang ng Secretary of Justice to review pag may appeal na sa akin. Pero yung before the appeal, it is being handled by the Prosecutor General or by the city and provincial prosecutors throughout the country.
So do you remember reviewing a number of cases, a big number or a small number?
Merong siguro hindi na nakarating sa akin yun because we are only review. Hindi naman lahat pumupunta sa review eh.
Okay.
Well, you did mention, Attorney, also to our sister program that most of the cases didn't even reach your office. And you also argue that the reason why your name is being included in the co-perpetrators list is because the prosecutor needs to prove the credibility of this common plan, this so-called common plan. Ano? But at the same time, Attorney, hindi po ba na someone's role in aiding impunity, this culture of impunity, is also something that lends credence to this common plan? In other words, parang the Justice Department turned a blind eye to all these killings happening during the war on drugs.
I deny that. You prove it. I deny that. We never engage in that kind of activities. Hindi namin ginawa yan.
By the same token, Attorney, are you preparing for an eventual case that the ICC may have against you?
Yes, actually, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, hindi ko na sinuseryoso nung una yan. Kasi I know nothing about this thing. Wala akong ginawa na would violate the rights of someone, especially much less killing someone or supporting the killing of somebody. Kaya ngayon, siguro siniseryoso ko na. Kasi it appears na some people or some local organization, even foreign organizations, are calling for the issuance of warrants against us. So yan, I'm now preparing. I hope to file the appropriate case before the Supreme Court so that I could protect my rights as a Filipino.
What exactly is the case that you are filing before the Supreme Court?
Well, about 4-5 months ago, nagpas ang Supreme Court ng isang, yun ang pinaka-latest rules of court nila on extradition. Ang nakalagay dun sa rules na yun, sa extradition, is that before any country could ask or request for the extradition of a Filipino na sinasabi ng criminal o nag-commit ng crime doon sa bansa nila, for example sa Amerika, mayroong judicial process na ginagawa ngayon dito. Nakalagay doon na kung sakasakaling ang Department of Justice will file a request for extradition through the request of a foreign country, then they will have to file that request with a local domestic court. Kaya yan ang concern ko lang is that baka yan ay kulang. Kasi nakalagay doon, it is entitled for extradition. Hindi kasama dyan yung processes that would have to be made with respect to foreign tribunals. Kasi pag extradition, mga bansa lang yan, countries. Pero itong mga foreign tribunals katulad ng ICC, ICJ, wala dyan, hindi kasama doon So, posible, pwedeng maging defense nila, hindi naman yan kasama kayo dyan Kasi para sa extradition lang. Kaya we hope and pray that the Supreme Court would come up with new rules specifically addressing the need for Filipinos to protect their constitutional rights. Katulad ng ginawa dito sa mga extradite na ito.
So, Senator Bato de la Rosa has already filed a similar case?
That's right, that's right.
Pero
And
wala pong
unfortunately, the case did not move because Senator de la Rosa, despite the announcement made by the Ombudsman that he has a copy of the warrant of arrest, the party of Senator de la Rosa could not produce a copy of that warrant of arrest despite the fact na sinabi ng Ombudsman. And their motion to compel the Ombudsman to show them or submit to the Supreme Court copy of the warrant was not favorably acted upon by the Supreme Court. So kung mayroong specific na rule governing foreign tribunals like the ICC, paano ba ang gagawin? Dapat hindi na mangyari yung ginawa kay President Duterte, who was whisked to the Hague without even following the rules under the ICC rules or the Rome Statute. Dapat doon, dinaan din si President Duterte sa ating judicial process. Kaya ako nagpapasalamat at natutuwa ako dun sa suggestion ni Blue Ribbon Chair Ping Lacson na dapat mayroong domestic court ito na dadaan muna sa domestic court bago dalhin sa ICC. Very clear yan. Tama-tama lang. I think I will support that.
So, being named a co-perpetrator, do you think this will trigger a response from the Supreme Court? Because,
I don't know. But I hope. Kasi hindi mo naman mautusan ng Supreme Court. That's why I think one of the palaging sinasabi ko during this my interview yesterday and today ay sana magkaroon ng mag-promulgate ang Supreme Court ng another rule specifically covering this warrants of arrest or summons from international tribunal katulad ng ICC.
Well, Attorney, right now there are no charges against you before the ICC, but if you were given the opportunity to testify or serve as a witness, would you be willing to cooperate?
Yes. Why not?
Attorney, kailan niyo po huling nakausap si dating Pangulong Duterte, yung inyong brad? Aren't you fraternity brothers?
That's right. Correct. That's why kinuha niya akong lawyer noong 2010. Kausap ko siya siguro a few months before he was brought to the ICC in The Hague. But he was then very weak. As a matter of fact, he delivered his speech while on a wheelchair, and I did not have the opportunity to talk to him. I just saw him. At tagal na kami nagkakausap niyan.
Okay, very
Hindi naman-
quickly na lang, Secretary, no? Ano po yung backup plan nyo sakali pong walang lumabas sa Supreme Court? Magpa-file din po ba kayo ng very specific question on ano nga ba magyayari kapag international tribunal ang humingi, or do you have another plan B?
I really did not get the question. Could you please repeat?
Do you have a plan B in case po lumabas nga, kunwari, biglang magkaroon ng warrant because everything is kept secret until po lumabas yun? Are you also planning to file with the Supreme Court a very specific request, no, for an action plan? Kapag nga international tribunal po yung nag-issue ng arrest warrant at mag-extradite sa inyo.
Specifically, let's have as an example this ICC who might be issuing a warrant against us, or against me. Ang unang gagawin ko is that I will not wait for that. I hope to make or to draft a petition before the Supreme Court, which if I feel that it would be already a justiciable controversy, kasi hindi lahat ng kaso dinidinig ng Supreme Court o or other courts for this matter, dapat merong justiciable controversy. So dito dapat mapruebahan ko na merong danger na yung constitutional right ko may be violated. For example, to be imprisoned in a foreign country without due process. So I'm going to file an action before the Supreme Court, a petition before the Supreme Court for certiorari.
We thank you for talking to us on the eve of Chinese New Year, kaya lahat tayo ay nakapula. Former, tama po ba? Kaya
Tama,
nakapula din
oo.
kayo. Go ahead, sir.
Tama. I hope na kumain lang tayo ng tikoy.
Sige po. Former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre II.
Well, we have other developments on the Duterte drug war and several personalities being tagged in it. For one, Malacanang hails Duterte allies designated by the ICC as co-perpetrators not to hide. That and more stories are still ahead. Keep it here on One News.
Thank you for staying with us. We circle back to our top story tonight. The lead counsel of Rodrigo Duterte criticized the release of an ICC list of alleged co-perpetrators in the former president's crime against humanity case. Lawyer Nicholas Kaufman said the document was only meant to help arguments for the upcoming confirmation of charges hearing of Duterte. That proceeding begins on February 23. According to the defense, the ICC list should have been kept confidential as required by court rules. Now, Kaufman says he will contest the allegations, which he said are completely lacking in truth. Kaufman also tagged the release of the information as politically motivated. He maintained none of the individuals in the list are currently subject to arrest warrants.
Meantime, the Marcos administration will cooperate with the Interpol if the International Criminal Court issues more arrest warrants. This was the case when former President Rodrigo Duterte was captured by the organization at the request of the ICC back in March of last year. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro again explained that Malacanang cannot interfere back there or could not interfere back then since the ICC employed a legal process. Castro added, the case Duterte was arrested for was built years ago, back when Bongbong Marcos was not yet president. Recently, the ICC issued a document that designated several Duterte officials as drug war co-perpetrators, including now Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo. Undersecretary Castro says there is no monitoring of these personalities yet, but she did have this piece of advice for them.
Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Kayo ba'y may kasalanan? Tinatago nyo para hindi po kayo madinig at ma-escape kayo or ma-evade the liability of what you had done? So, hindi po kinakailangan magtago kung alam po nila na sila'y walang kasalanan, humarap sila at maging matapang sa mga maaaring proseso.
7 days from now, on February 23, former President Rodrigo Duterte's confirmation of charges hearing begins at the ICC. What can we expect? Let's ask ICC-accredited lawyer Gilbert Andres. He is also the common legal representative for the victims in the case. Good evening, Attorney Andres.
Good evening, Seth, Sean, and Pauline.
Before we go to the confirmation of charges hearing, if we can discuss the release of that list of co-perpetrators by the ICC, isn't it, well, odd that a list is out before any even charges are made, formal charges?
Well, it's not odd, Seth, because it's within the prosecutorial discretion of the Office of the Prosecutor to release a lesser redacted version. In fact, this was already filed last July 4 of 2025. So ang kaibahan lang po, lesser redacted. At ang nakita po natin, yung mga other co-perpetrators together with Mr. Duterte. So nakita natin yung 8 mga pangalan.
So hindi na po bago yan. Dati na-release na, redacted lang.
Opo, talagang nakalagay lang doon, redact. Yun pong letters A to H.
Okay, and
Opo.
why naman hindi na siya redacted ngayon? What's the significance? And, well, Kaufman says it's because of the upcoming hearing, confirmation of charges hearing, rather.
Okay, let's look at the rules and the articles. Bakit ba nire-redact? If there's a harm or a security risk to potential victims and witnesses. Now, I think the Office of the Prosecutor, in accordance with its prosecutorial discretion, nakita nila na releasing the names of the co-perpetrator may not actually do harm dun sa potential victims at witnesses. Kaya nirelease po nila yan. At I think they also want to provide the public with the context of the charges against Mr. Duterte. That's why they released a lesser redacted version.
Okay. Attorney, sa akin, no, as a layperson, when I saw yung common plan, kumbaga, can we say this is sort of like a preview into how the prosecution will argue the case against former President Duterte? Kumbaga, may common plan, ito yung mga players, may flowchart pa. Ganun ho ba yun?
Yes, I think so. And I think ang hindi naman yan sikreto, na simple lang naman yung papakita ng prosecutor, papakita nila na talagang may systematic at widespread attack on the civilian population. Kasi isa po yan sa mga elemento ng crimes against humanity for murder. At actually, sa tingin ko lang, sisimplihan lang nila yung pag-present nila ng evidence at arguments against Mr. Duterte.
Pero does this mean arrest warrants are forthcoming against these personalities named?
Okay, 2 answers. Number 1, as to arrest warrants, we don't really know for sure why. Technically, any application for an arrest warrant is sealed. It is secret. But secondly, if we just follow the logic of the document containing charges, it's just logical to expect that there might be a potential arrest warrant in the future.
Okay. Now, Senator Lacson has spoken and said if there should be such, they should be these officials, current officials or former, should be given the opportunity to be to contest it before a local court. What do you think of that?
Okay, dalawang sagot din, assuming there's an arrest warrant. Okay, ang problema kasi yung rules of procedure na in-issue ng Supreme Court last October is on extradition. At nag-a-apply lang po yan, base sa rules on extradition, sa mga states po. Now, the ICC is not a state. It's an international organization. So, hindi po papasok doon sa rules on extradition. Saan papasok yung ICC arrest warrant? In a hypothetical situation. Papasok po siya doon sa Republic Act 9851, which is our International Humanitarian Law Act, Section 17. Kung mayroon pong person na nasa Pilipinas who's being investigated or prosecuted before an international tribunal, pwede po siyang i-surrender ng Philippine authorities. Now, naging state practice po, Sa naging example po, si Mr. Duterte ay sinurrender nga ng Pilipinas, si Mr. Duterte sa ICC. So baka yung pong pwedeng gawin.
For Senators Bongo and Bato de la Rosa, can an arrest be carried out, attorney, while Senate is in session?
Well, ganito na lang yan. When it comes to the Senate being in session, siguro a matter of courtesy, hindi. But when nasa labas na po yung isang sitting senator, labas po ng premises ng Senate, pwede po siyang ma-aresto. In fact, my position, and this is my opinion, is that the Senate should not be a safe haven for anyone who's being charged, accused, or being a subject of an arrest warrant for an international crime.
Okay. At meron po ba tayong difference technically and legally if we say co-perpetrator, co-conspirator, magka-level po ba yun or is one more grave than the other?
Okay, ang conspirator, it's really a Philippine domestic legal concept. Ang indirect co-perpetrator, that's an international criminal law concept po, nasa Article 25 ng Rome Statute. Na ang ibig sabihin lang nito, hindi naman pwedeng isang tao lang ang gagawa ng systematic at widespread attack against the civilian population. So ibig sabihin, mayroon pa po siyang mga indirect co-perpetrators. Yan nga po na pangalan, yung 8 names na yan. Now, syempre, mayroon ding direct perpetrators. Yan po talaga yung mga pumatay at pumaslang doon sa naging war on drugs. Kaya I think it just giving a overall context doon sa confirmation of charges. Kaya sa tingin ko po, pinalabas po yung lesser redacted version ng Office of the Prosecutor.
But now, Attorney Kaufman is saying it's political, and could this throw a monkey wrench on the confirmation of charges hearing?
I don't think so. Why? Number one, the chamber does not consider, the chamber of the International Criminal Court does not consider any political considerations. Now, ang pagsasabi na ng political yan, it's an interpretation already. And anyone can make their own interpretation based on what their agenda is. But for the Office of the Prosecutor, it has that prosecutorial discretion in accordance with the Rome Statute and the Rules of Procedure and Evidence to show a lesser redacted version.
But, Attorney, what's the likelihood that the ICC will go after the co-perpetrators? Doesn't the ICC usually go for the most guilty, especially when it comes to crimes against humanity?
Tama naman po yan. But again, that's a separate process. Kasi ang issue ngayon sa confirmation of charges hearing is yung case against Mr. Duterte. That's why it's prosecutor versus Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Now, for the other cases, under the Philippine situation, there will be another process for that. At ang first step po dyan ay yung application for an arrest warrant. In fact, sabi ko, may narinig ako isa sa inyo nagsabing wala pa namang charges. Tama yan. Wala pa namang document containing charges against these 8 persons.
Yeah.
Kasi baliktad po sa ICC. Baliktad po siya sa Pilipinas. Sa Pilipinas kasi, charge mo na ng information, tapos magpapalabas ng arrest warrant. Sa ICC, baliktad. Magpapalabas mo na ng arrest warrant. Di ba? Yan yung naging experience kay Mr. Rodrigo Duterte. Nakita po natin yan nung March, di ba? Palabas ng arrest warrant. Tapos yung document containing the charges, final po nung July 4.
So it's the same procedure that will happen to the 8?
Well,
Arrest
presumably,
warrant muna,
yes.
wala pa lang. Wow.
Pero
Yes,
related to that, no, attorney, so, bale, itong nilesen nila yung pagka-redact ng document in preparation for confirmation of charges. So, magyayari ba is, base sa kung anong magyari doon sa arguments ng defense versus the prosecution, doon madedetermine whether or not mas malaki yung posibilidad na maglabas sila ng arrest warrant versus the 8?
Okay, a separate issue kasi yung arrest warrant is, sa confirmation of charges, ang magiging issue talaga dyan is whether may sufficient evidence to show na dapat pong ituloy sa trial yung counts 1, 2, and 3 against Mr. Duterte. Now, kaya i-separate natin yung issue na yun kasi ibang process po yun with respect to the 8.
All right, what could have led Ombudsman Boying Remulla to announce that there already was an arrest warrant? He saw some alert What other alerts are given before an arrest warrant is actually made or sent out? As
Okay,
explained to
so
us, I'll just put some context into my question because we had DILG Secretary Remulla here, his brother, who said that that alert didn't come from him, but from the ombudsman himself, who saw some kind of an announcement. Is there such a thing?
Okay, in my knowledge is if galing po sa ICC ang arrest warrant, meron po silang ang Office of the Prosecutor as well as the Interpol, meron po silang memorandum of agreement. Now, ang mangyayari po niyan, dahil ICC is not a state, it's an international organization, diffusion notice po. I think red diffusion notice po ang mangyayari. At papasa po yung arrest warrant na yan with the red diffusion notice doon sa state concern. Hindi siya ipapalabas sa lahat ng state members ng Interpol. There are about 196 or 195 state members. At sa context ng Philippines, diretso po yan sa Philippines at may office po dito yung Interpol, dito sa Philippines. So, yun po yung magiging procedure po. Tapos, ang mag-implement naman po talaga niyan, yung Philippine authorities din. Kasi ang Interpol po, it's really more of a mechanism to cooperate. It doesn't have its own police force.
Attorney, if charges are filed against these 8 co-perpetrators, is it possible for them to cooperate with the ICC? Let's say they become witnesses, protected witnesses, and testify against President Duterte to further strengthen the case of the prosecutor.
Okay, kung na-charge sila, ibig sabihin na-arrest sila, di ba? Kasi baliktad sa ICC. So na-arrest muna sila at mayroong document containing charges. Now, I think it's really malayo na po na magkaroon po sila ng any deal with the ICC kasi yun nga, na-arrest na sila at isa sila sa mga co-perpetrator. So mataas na level na yan. Kaya mukhang malabo po yung avenue na yan.
Attorney, sabi mo kanina, completely different story yung confirmation of charges at yung kaso ni Duterte dito sa 8 na na-mention sa documents.
Yes.
Ngayon, if we just focus on the 8, okay, so lumabas yung pangalan nila as a co-perpetrators. This is indicative or para lang ma-explain ng prosecution yung case nila at saka yung common plan. Ngayon, etong 8, ano po yung proseso for them to be arrested? Kumbaga, is it a whole other investigation that has to be undertaken individually for the 8 of them or maybe as a group? May ganun po ba? Or pwedeng meron, pwedeng wala?
Okay, actually yung investigation, it has been ongoing, okay, since 2018. Kasi ang investigation naman is into the Philippine situation. Now, mangyayari na lang dyan, mga specific cases under the umbrella ng Philippine situation. Now, ang next step dyan, base lang sa procedure ng ICC, mag-apply po ng isang arrest warrant. At syempre, sa arrest warrant na yan, meron ding mga evidence necessary to show na there's reasonable grounds to believe na dapat arrestuhin yung taong to. So, mayroong application for arrest warrant. Now, as to whether or not meron po, no one really knows outside of the Office of the Prosecutor and the chamber and the pretrial chamber kasi it's a sealed process. O lahat po ng mga sinasabi, to be frank, baka hypotheticals na po ito. Oo. Unless may na-issue ng arrest warrant at pinakita po sa mga taong concerned. So, yun po yung magiging proseso ulit. I-arrest po sila at then magkakaroon po ng initial appearance just like Mr. Duterte. And then after that, mag-schedule ng confirmation of charges hearing and then before the confirmation of charges hearing, magpa-file po yung OTP ng document containing the charges. At mayroon po itong mga kaibahan sa kay Mr. Duterte kasi ano ba yung specific na kinontribute nila doon sa common plan? Ano bang specific na actions na ginawa nila? It may be different from the actions of Mr. Duterte as stated in the document containing charges.
In the case of Secretary Aguirre, what was it?
Well, hindi pa natin alam, Ses, kasi ang alam lang natin is one paragraph, which is letter H. At i-expand pa yan kung meron pong application for arrest warrant, which again, is a sealed process. And then after that, kung magkaroon po ng separate na document containing charges. So doon po talaga yan i-amplify kung ano man po yung magiging charges.
Okay, we thank you very much for talking to us, ICC accredited lawyer, Attorney Gilbert Andres.
And in other news, the Public Works Department is poised to name so-called big fish in the flood control scandal. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon declined to say which agencies or projects these personalities were connected to, only that their names have been submitted to the Ombudsman for possible case referral.
May high-profile individuals.
We'll submit additional documents.
We already submitted sa Ombudsman. I think Bulacan.
Okay. So
And Davao Occidental. Iba ba yung Cebu? Yung Cebu, this week ata. This week ata namin i-refer yung Cebu.
Meantime, the DPWH has formally included contractor Curly Discaya as a respondent in a complaint related to the 96.5 million peso ghost flood control project in Davao Occidental. Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano said affidavits now with investigators show Discaya exercised control over the firms involved in the case. Curly's wife, Sarah, is already on trial for this complaint. Mr. Discaya has 10 days to file his counter affidavit before prosecutors can determine sufficient grounds to pursue charges. And still on the DPWH, it has named new officials as replacement for those removed due to infrastructure anomalies. These appointees have long served the agency, but were denied promotion because they were not backed by politicians. And on the EDSA rehabilitation, the DPWH says it will be stepping on repairs from Rojas Boulevard to Orense by working through the Holy Week break. They target to finish the repairs this May, then move on to the renovation of sidewalks.
Meanwhile, we're pausing for another breather, but right after that, Senator Jinggoy Estrada and 4 others linked to the flood control scandal can no longer leave the country after a precautionary whole departure order is issued against them. The big story will be right back. Stay tuned.
And we're back with stories related to the flood control scandal. A Manila court has issued a precautionary hold departure order against Senator Jinggoy Estrada, also prevented from leaving the country while legal proceedings are ongoing are former Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan and ex-DPWH officials Roberto Bernardo, Gerard Opulencia, and Henry Alcantara. The Justice Department says the PHDO is preliminary since the case remains under prosecutorial review.
Meantime, Bonoan has filed his counter affidavit before the DOJ over a plunder complaint. Bonoan had earlier informed the DOJ of his travel plans for the United States, where his wife is seeking medical attention. But with the PHDO, this will have to wait. And the Sandigan Bayan has entered a not guilty plea for former Senator Mong Revilla in the alleged 92.8 million peso ghost flood control project in Pandi, Bulacan. Revilla declined to enter a plea during arraignment, prompting the court to do so on his behalf. A preliminary conference is set for February 23 to 27, with pre-trial on March 6.
Now, on a much lighter note, Binondo is buzzing on the eve of Chinese New Year. For the latest, we have mobile journalist Ray Vicente live on the ground. Ray, kamusta ang mood dyan?
Sean, Colleen, magandang gabi. Ay kahit lumalalim na nga ang gabi, dito sa Ongpin Street sa Binondo, tuloy-tuloy pa rin talaga ang kasayahan at kumpara nga kanina umaga, buhay na talaga ang Binondo ngayong bisperas ng Chinese New Year. At papakita ko lang sa inyo, kahit saglit, iikot ko lang kayo na unti, kung makikita nyo, talagang may mga parte nagsiksika na talaga dito dahil nga sa ating mga kapatid na nais bumisita, kumain, at syempre, mamili na kaniganda ng mga lucky charms at syempre mga Chinese delicacies. At isa nga sa mga Chinese delicacies dito, syempre yung pork xiaolong bao na dito sa akin likuran. Kanina pa pinipilahan, hindi nawawala ang pila simula kanina umaga dahil isa talaga to sa mga patok na pagkain dito sa Binondo. At syempre hindi mawawala talaga ang tikoy na binibenta sa halagang 80 pesos hanggang 200 pesos, depende sa size. Pero syempre, maliban dyan, says Pauline Sean, meron dito tayong papakita ng mga mascot. Isa yan talaga sa mga pinupuntahan ng mga bumisita dito. At nagpapapicture sila. Kanina actually hindi natin na videohan, pero meron tayong much about doon, no? na merong mga mini parade ng mga dragon na performances at maging mga fire experiences bilang bisperas nga ng Chinese New Year. Pero bukas talaga, inaasahan yung malawakang grand parade mula sa Manila Post Office hanggang dito sa Chinatown. Pero mamayang gabi, dahil may mga tao pa rito, ang ilan talaga dito, ang ilan talaga sa ating mga kapatid, inaabangan talaga nila yung mangyayaring grand fireworks display dito sa Jones Bridge mamayang 10 p.m. Says Pauline Chon.
Teka, yung mascot ba dyan, kabayo ba yun?
Horse yun, di ba? Kasi fire horse.
Says Pauline Chon, actually, unggoy. Tapos, ako familiar. Gorilla
yung
pala.
brown.
Yan, no, yan!
Yan, yung sa likod mo.
Cartoon character actually, pero hindi ko alam kung anong
Hindi ba
cartoon
pig yan?
character yan.
Capybara.
Actually, it's a capybara.
Capybara.
It's a capybara. And meron lang parang gorilla sa tabi.
Pero actually, kakalatag lang nila dyan kanina bago tayo umere. So ngayon, pinagkakaguluhan na sila ng mga tao dyan.
Ayan, tumatabi pa sa'yo. Gusto yatang mag-hello sa atin. Capybara, pakibara.
Okay, may paputukan ba mamaya? May fireworks?
Yes, merong fireworks mamaya sa Jones Bridge ng 10 p.m. Yung talaga annual Grand Fireworks Display. At maliban pala sa Grand Fireworks Display, meron ding drone show mamayang gabi kasabay nito.
Nagpo-photo bomb talaga yung capybara na
Gusto niya ng airtime.
Talagang pinapakita niya ang kanyang itsura.
Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you for your report. Mobile Journal, Ray Vicente reporting to us live from Binondo, Manila.
Right, and for our big picture tonight is the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP, urging the faithful to try a different kind of sacrifice this Lent, and that is stepping back from digital media. In a pastoral letter titled Fasting Beyond Food, the CBCP said, Lent is a time for renewal through prayer, fasting, and mercy. The bishop said fasting can go beyond food by limiting social media, streaming, and gaming that, quote, absorb our attention and weaken our interior life. They described the sacrifice as a way to rediscover silence, prayer, and authentic relationships meant to free the heart and not to punish the body. The CBCP letter also stressed that digital fasting is not anti-technology. CBCP is suggesting device-free meals, avoiding phones before bed, and upon waking, limiting screen time and even taking occasional 24-hour digital fasts. The Lenten season begins in just 2 days on February 18 or Ash Wednesday.
That's
a good
interesting.
suggestion.
Kaya mo ba yan? Pawi? Parang hindi.
No, because our work, diba, and we need social media.
Pero pwede mo siya i-limit to, parang you can make concessions like, okay, I will only look up work stuff.
Yeah.
No
Pwede.
fun stuff.
Yeah. Para hindi na ako mapuyat.
Hey, that's a good
Try to do that.
suggestion.
So it is Chinese New Year's Eve, obviously. So, Gong Xi Fa Cai, Kyung Hee Wat Cai, and Sinian Kuai Le.
Wow. Alam
Okay,
ko lang kung hey
let's leave the greetings to Sean. Oh, kung hey fat choy lang alam ko. Again.
Kyung Hee Wat Cai for Hokkien. Sinian Kuai Le, Happy New Year in Mandarin. And then Gong Xi Fa Cai kasi it's Cantonese.
Ayun. Okay, happy Chinese New Year to
Okay,
everybody.
parang...
And don't forget to wear red tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
But we already are wearing red today.
But tomorrow, we're also going to be wearing red.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
That's the more important day.
Yes. And something new, ideally.
Yes.
So it's an excuse to go shopping. But on that note, that's it for the big story this Monday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. We will be in red and we'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News all sides all the time. Have a good night.